Some lessons can't be taught in boardrooms, they're whispered in the smallest moments, by people the world overlooks. He owned skyscrapers and commanded empires, but it took a waitress in a diner and his disabled son's tiny dance step to teach him what power really looks like. Wesley Granger wasn't just rich, he was relentless. CEO of a global tech conglomerate. He was the kind of man who arrived at 5 a.m., demanded perfection, and rarely smiled unless numbers went up. He had everything: a private jet, a penthouse with a view of Central Park, and a Forbes cover with the headline, "The Man Who Sees Everything." Everything except peace. His son, Oliver, 10, was born with cerebral palsy. He couldn't walk without assistance and spoke slowly, often struggling to form full sentences. Wesley loved him but didn't know how to connect. Every moment with Oliver felt fragile, like trying to hold water in his hands. One Saturday, at the insistence of his estranged wife, Wesley reluctantly took Oliver out for pancakes. Just them, no assistants, no laptop. They ended up at Rosie's Diner, a small, old-fashioned spot tucked away off a quiet street. That's where they met Janelle Brooks, a black waitress in her early 30s, had worked at Rosie's for nearly a decade. She was known for her quick smile, memory of every regular's name, and humming Motown classics between orders. But more than anything, Janelle noticed people. When Wesley walked in, sharply dressed and clearly uncomfortable, she saw more than a wealthy man in a diner. She saw a father with a wall around his heart. When she looked at Oliver, she didn't just see a boy in a wheelchair, she saw a child full of rhythm, tapping his fingers in sync with the music playing on the jukebox. She leaned down and whispered, "You like Stevie Wonder, baby?" Oliver smiled shyly. "Yes, he's my favorite." Janelle lit up. "Mine too. Especially, isn't she lovely?" Oliver beamed. For the first time all morning, Wesley saw his son's eyes dance. After serving pancakes with extra whipped cream, Janelle returned with a surprise. She dropped a few coins into the jukebox. The warm chords of "Isn't She Lovely" floated through the diner. Then, something unexpected happened. Janelle walked up to Oliver and said gently, "May I have this dance, young sir?" Oliver looked at his father, unsure. Wesley started to object, but Janelle held out her hand. "You lead, I follow." With shaky arms and a gleam in his eye, Oliver took her hand. Still seated in his chair, he began moving his arms and swaying. Janelle followed every motion, letting him lead, matching his rhythm. The whole diner paused. Even the cook peeked out from the kitchen. Wesley watched silently, then blinked back tears. He had never danced with his son, never even thought to. But here was a stranger, giving Oliver the spotlight he'd never had. After the song ended, Oliver clapped with joy. The entire diner applauded. Wesley stood up and walked over. I didn't know he could do that," he said, voice low. Janelle looked at him with kindness. "Maybe you just needed to see him outside the numbers." That line hit him harder than any boardroom decision. For the first time in years, Wesley didn't feel like a CEO. He felt like a dad. They talked for another hour about music, childhood, and how sometimes slowing down reveals more than racing ahead. Before leaving, Wesley handed Janelle a business card. She shook her head. "I don't want anything from you. I just wanted your boy to feel seen." Wesley didn't go back to work that day. Instead, he took Oliver to the park, and they listened to Stevie Wonder on a bench. The following week, Wesley made headlines again, but not for business. He launched a nonprofit called Oliver's Steps, a foundation funding dance and arts therapy for children with disabilities. Janelle was invited to serve as a program ambassador. She said yes, but only if she could still work weekends at Rosie's today. Rosie's Diner plays more Stevie Wonder than ever, and every now and then, a billionaire walks in not as a CEO, but as a father who finally understands that leading isn't about control. It's about following the rhythm of someone else's heart. In a world chasing power and position, one waitress reminded a billionaire that true leadership begins with compassion, and sometimes it's the quietest voices that teach the loudest lessons. This is Lifelines, where real stories prove that one moment of kindness can change a life forever.